Yo, what is up, guys? It's your boy Danny Plays here, back with another video, and today's we're back with a daily upload #4. Yeah, like I said before, I'm sorry these are not like Christmas themed, but you see, when I did my Easter daily uploads, they weren't even Easter themed that much as well. Some of them were Easter themed, but not all of them, so it didn't really have to be the same theme for Christmas. So yeah, so I've been looking forward to doing this video. I'm going to be reviewing Spider-Man No Way Home. I've wanted to do this for ever since the movie came out, of course. So, I mean, ever since I watched it. But I thought I wasn't planning on doing it this week because I thought I wanted to do Christmas themed videos, but I was like, nah, frick it. And then yeah, so I'm gonna, of course, I actually should warn you guys straight away. Don't, if there is massive spoilers in this video. Sorry, I don't know why I'm clapping. I'm just saying, I'm warning you guys. I'm just warning you guys that there is massive spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, stop watching right now because I'm not spoiling. I'm not gonna get hate if I spoil. I don't want hate if I don't want someone saying in the comments that you spoiled the movie on me, but you could have just clicked off the video. So I'll start spoiling the movie in 3. Oh yeah, by the way, you have to click off the video in 3, 2, 1. Now, people that have watched the movie are here, and people who haven't watched the movie aren't here. And again, if you keep watching, you're gonna get spoiled. So I wouldn't if I were you. If you haven't seen the movie, if you're not planning to go see the movie, it's fine. You can watch this video if you want to. So, but if you are planning to watch the movie eventually, then don't watch this video. But anyway, now that the people that don't want to be spoiled are gone, I guess we can start getting to the movie. I guess. So this is my most anticipated movie of the year, and this is my whole life, to be honest. And when I saw the trailer, I absolutely, you guys remember my video about the trailer. I was like so hyped. I was like, oh my god. I was like screaming. I was like, so good. Like the memories already. It feels like so long ago since the trailer came out. It came out in September actually. Oh, that's really crazy. And yeah, I can't believe they brought it out this year. I thought it'd be like next year that they'd bring it out because people only kind of started talking about this movie kind of this year, kind of. I'm pretty sure they talked about it in 2020 as well a bit, but it mostly started in 2021. So I'm kind of shocked that they did the movie this year. But yeah, I'm still glad that they did the movie this year. But let me just get straight into the movie then. Tom Holland as Peter Parker, Spider-Man, great interpretation, like I said before. It's a really romantic movie. This one kind of is. The romantic scenes with MJ and Peter are really good because it's kind of like they're still kind of awkward, which I kind of like. They're still kind of awkward with each other, and I kind of love that, kind of, to be honest. Ned is so funny in this movie. There's a bit where he says I guess I'll get to that bit in a minute actually, but he's saying, like, he says at one point that I won't turn into a supervillain to try to kill you one day because he has magic powers now because he stole one of the magic things off Doctor Strange. And yeah, I'll get to why he says that in a minute as well, because I'll get to the last bit is going to be the best bit I'm talking about. But yeah, I love that they bring back all the old villains as well. We have Alfred Molina as Doctor Octopus. He's the one from Spider-Man 2, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 2. And we also have Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin. Yeah, he's great as well. He was from Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 1. And then we have Lizard also in this movie, but I'll talk about him in a minute. And we have Jamie Foxx coming back as Electro as well from The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And also Sandman is in this movie. But let me talk about Sandman and Electro. I mean, Sandman and Lizard, actually. Sorry, not Electro. They are actually... Okay, so at one point we see them get cured, okay? We see that Sandman gets cured and doesn't have sand powers anymore. And we see that Lizard gets cured and he's not the Lizard anymore, he's just Dr. Connors. So, this is weird now. I don't think they're actually... It's the same actors, but it's not the same actors. Because the same actors actually didn't come back for this movie. If you're confused, let me talk about it. So, when Sandman gets cured, we see him like look at his hand, and the sand is getting off of his hand because he's losing his powers. And we see the exact same shot from Spider-Man 3, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 3. So they just edited Sandman into this movie, and they did the same with Lizard as well. There was a scene from The Amazing Spider-Man 1 where Lizard got cured, and then this copied the same shot and put it in this movie. So I hate to say it, but the same actors for Sandman and a Lizard are actually not in this movie. They're just edited, I think. Well, definitely actually, because they're the same. It's just the same shot from Spider-Man 3 in The Amazing Spider-Man 1. So they're edited, and they're not actually in this movie. And Sandman sounds different, and Lizard sounds really different as well. So it's not the same actors, unfortunately, but they're still great in this movie. Actually, another thing about Lizard though is why does his mouth look so weird? his mouth looks so weird. Lizard looks better in Amazing Spider-Man 1 in this movie. I hate to say that, but Lizard just looks really bad in this movie for some reason. He does. His mouth looks so big. I know his mouth is kind of supposed to be big, but when he talks, it just looks weird. I don't know. I don't know what's about Lizard in this movie. Lizard doesn't have much to shine anyway in this movie, sadly. But Lizard's a great villain, but he doesn't really have any storyline telling in this movie. There is I'm actually this is one of the best bits in the movie, actually, in my opinion. I don't know if I don't know if anyone's sad about this, but I'm pretty sure more people are happy about this. It's the first one to get cured is Doctor Octopus, and I like that he turns good like midway in the movie. He fights Spider-Man at first, Tom Spider-Man, and then Tom Spider-Man cures Doctor Octopus straight away, and yeah. So I love that Doctor Octopus is kind of like good now again, because I want him to be good in the movie, but have like an evil moment where he's fighting Tom Spidey, and yeah, if that makes sense anyway. Oh yeah, by the way, Sandman is not, like I said, because they didn't have the same actor, he's literally sand. He doesn't have a human body or anything, he's just sand in this movie. It's really weird. I love that little, when Electro gets introduced into this movie, it's so cool because he's blue at first from the Amazing Spider-Man 2, and then you hear his old team, like you hear his old music from the Amazing Spider-Man 2, and it looks so freaking badass. And then he turns yellow because he's in a different universe. I love the jokes in this movie as well. There's a bit where he's just like, Electro's just naked in the woods, and then Sandman and Peter are just looking at him, and he's like, are you guys just going to stand there like I'm not butt-ass naked? And they're just like, and then Sandman's just like, I am. And it's like really weird. I also like that when Electro tries to attack Spider-Man at first, Sandman actually helps him because Sandman thinks it's his Peter Parker, but it's actually not. And yeah. I love let me get into, actually, what should I go into next? I also love the consequences Peter has to struggle with in this movie. Like, because MJ and Ned literally, like, they didn't get into college because literally MJ and Ned know Peter, and that's the reason they didn't get into college. Like, that's kind of weird. I mean, not weird. That's kind of like that's Peter has to suffer with that consequence throughout the movie because he feels guilty that he says to himself, like, the only reason they didn't get into college is because they know him. That's really sad. Like, oh my god, that's so sad that MJ and Ned know him. They can't get into college, and Peter didn't get into college either. I also love that Flash Thompson in this movie tries to be friends with Peter because Flash Thompson loves Spider-Man. He's like, yeah, guys, this is my best friend now, and Flash Thompson used to bully Peter, so yeah. So he's like, yeah, guys, this is my best friend now because he's Spider-Man, and yeah, he's so cool. We went to every party together. We went, we did great things together. We're homies, And Peter's like, well, I never really hanged out with you in my life before. Even like, well, he did, but he always got bullied. So, and also Flash writes a book. I also love the start of this movie because it takes place straight after Far From Home left off, where Mysterio revealed his identity, and then of course Peter goes like, "What the?" And then instead of like the screen going black this time, you hear a car horn, and it blanks out the cuss that Peter just did. And then he sees that MJ is getting surrounded by a crowd, and then there's a guy that says, "Are you Spider-Man's girlfriend?" And then he asks a second time. And then there's also a Karen that comes up to Peter saying, "Why did you kill Mysterio?" And then she starts hitting him, and then Peter picks up MJ, and then they go swing off away from the people, and the guy literally jumps at Peter. And then we hear J. Jonah Jameson's, J.K. Simmons is, of course, back in this movie as J. Jonah Jameson. We hear J. Jonah Jameson say, this Peter Parker is public enemy number 1, which is taken straight from the comics, so that's what J. Jonah Jameson calls Spider-Man in the comics. He says, public enemy number 1. And, yeah, so I love the little, swinging scene with MJ and, Spider-Man. And then when Spider-Man gets back to his house, Aunt May's house, he's like, yeah, he has his shirt off, and then Aunt May says, "Were you just about to have sex?" If you guys know what that spells, yeah. I love that they make that reference because even though it's a kids movie, they still make like a little kind of dirty jokes in there. So, yeah. I love that Peter tries to pull down the blinds so no one can see through his house, but then he sees on the news that the helicopters are surrounding his house right now, and he's like, "Oh crap!" And also, Happy Hogan and Aunt May broke up. And yeah, and this is one of the. I remember I was so shocked when I seen this. I was not expecting this at all. So, one of the main people at Marvel is Kevin Feige. He does all the Marvel movies basically. Yeah, I know. I can't remember what you'd call him. He's like you know, it's hard to explain. But anyway, he works at Marvel, and he's basically the main guy at Marvel. And Kevin Feige, someone asked Kevin Feige, is if there was ever a Daredevil character back in the if there was ever a Daredevil character in the MCU, who would you get? Would you get Charlie Cox back as Daredevil? Because Charlie Cox is the person who played uh Daredevil in the Daredevil Netflix show. It's not a part of the storyline at all anymore. It's not a part. It's not the Daredevil show isn't the part of the story, Marvel story. But then we actually see Charlie Cox, Matt Murdock, come back and talk to Peter. He's Peter's lawyer. So yeah, we have freaking Daredevil in this movie. Charlie Cox is back, bro. Charlie Cox is back. And I know that second name is really weird, but yeah, Charlie Cox is back. I absolutely was so shocked. So does that make the Daredevil show canon then? I don't know. But hopefully, okay, I'll talk about what happens in the Hawkeye show tomorrow. But anyway, yeah, we have Charlie Cox back as Matt Murdock, and he's talking to Peter at the table and Aunt May and Happy Hogan, and a bunch of haters of Spider-Man throws a brick through his window, and literally, and then Matt Murdock just catches it, and that just hints that he's Daredevil then. Peter's like, how did you just do that? And he's like, I'm a really good lawyer. And then, yeah, that's really good to see. Matt Murdock's so funny, bro. Then they move to a new house because they're not safe at their old house. They go to Happy Hogan's kind of apartment thing, which is really cool and fancy and all. And then Peter tries to rebuild the Death Star, the Lego Death Star, from the first movie that Ned had. And yeah, I guess I also love the first interaction with Peter and Doctor Strange in this movie. Like Doctor Strange is like, okay, you're just when they mess up the spell. Doctor Strange is just like, okay, I gotta understand that you're just a kid. And he asks, did you actually try to convince the person to get your friend into college? And he's like, no. He just kicks him out of the sanctum. But yeah. So I also love the Iron Spider suit in this movie. It looks really good in this movie. We only see it one time in a battle. And let me get to that battle. So the first battle of this movie is Spider-Man versus Doctor Octopus. So Peter's just going to that lady to try to get his friends into college, and he tries to convince her to get his friends into college, but the girl's like, I don't know. And then we just say Peter's Spidey sense is back. Peter Tingle's back, boys. And yeah, because Peter didn't have his spider sense in Far From Home because he blipped for 5 years. He of course died for 5 years, and that made his spider sense all weird. No, and he's got an even better spider sense now. His spider sense is unbelievable. Like, he senses Doctor Octopus from really far away, and he's like, wait, something's gonna happen. I'm just gonna jump on this lady's car. Hold for a second, hold on. And he's like, oh my god, there's cars getting smashed. Oh my god. And he's like, okay, I gotta change into my Iron Spider suit. And that spidey sense is just sick, bro. I think I prefer Tom's spidey sense more than Toby's now. I think Toby's was the best spider sense because he was able, in Toby's Spider-Man 2, he was able to see that there was danger from really far away when he's on the train. He knew that the train was going to hit something and then they were all going to die, so he knew how to stop it. But for some reason now I like Tom's spidey sense better. So yeah, then we see Dr. Octopus's arms, and then we see him come over to Peter, and he says that iconic line from the trailer. He says, hello, Peter. And yeah, and then Peter's like, hi, do I know you? And then he references, and Dr. Octopus references the machine from Spider-Man 2, the power of the sun in the palm of his hand. And I love that he says that again. He literally says the old line from Spider-Man 2. He says, the power of the sun in the palm of my hand. That's like an iconic line and all. And then he throws a car at Spider-Man, and then he throws another car at Spider-Man. But the second car he throws has a baby in it, and it has two the baby's mom and dad, I guess, in it. And then I love that Peter's like, oh my god, no, there's a baby about to die. I have to save her. I have to save this little family. And then yeah, he does save them. That's what I like seeing, Spider-Man saving people instead of just like, you know, kicking ass. I like to see Spider-Man save people. And yeah. So then he gets the baby and the family to safety. And then Doctor Octopus is like, you think your fancy new suit's gonna save you? And yeah, that's, you know, that's a good line as well. Because, you know, he like, Doctor Octopus is probably like, where did you get that suit from? But yeah, they keep battling it out, and then the lady that's trying to get the college lady, the person Peter's trying to talk to get his friends back into college, is in danger because she's about to fall off the bridge. Well, in the car, by the way, she couldn't get out of the car, and she's about to fall out off the bridge in the car. And then yeah, so Peter then keeps battling out with Doctor Octopus. Doctor Octopus says, "I should have killed your little girlfriend when I had the chance," which he's also referencing. He if you don't know what he's referencing there, he's referencing Mary Jane from Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, but Tom Spider-Man thinks it's his girlfriend, his MJ. So he's like, "What did you say?" And then he started getting pissed and he starts beating the crap out of him. I mean, I should actually say Doctor Octopus beats the crap out of Peter in this one. I mean, Peter does get some hits in this, on Doctor Octopus in this fight scene, but I feel like Doctor Octopus gets more hits on Peter in this fight. So yeah, then Peter's about to save the college lady, but he fails, and then Doctor Octopus steals some of Peter's nanotech from his suit, and he has red arms now, red robotic arms, and everyone thought he was going to have this throughout all the movie and like he'll have really powerful robotic arms, but he does have it for most of the movie, but he doesn't use it to fight. I'll tell you what happened in a minute. So he realizes that it's not his Peter Parker, and he's like, "You're not Peter Parker," and then Peter's like, "I'm so confused right now," and then Doctor Octopus is really confused. And because he had some nanotech on his robotic arms, Peter is able to control it from his suit. So he starts controlling Doctor Octopus's arms, and Doctor Octopus is like, "No, listen to me," instead of him. And he saves the lady, and Doctor Octopus is just tied up in his own arm. He can't move really, except his own body. And then yeah, he's like, "Okay." Peter's like, "I got your little robotic arm things under control right now." And then Peter senses Green Goblin, and yeah, Green Goblin is laughing his iconic laugh. And then Doctor Octopus recognizes that laugh and who it is. He says, "Osborn." And then Green Goblin's about to attack Spider-Man, and he just goes through a Doctor Strange portal, and yeah. I thought we were gonna get a fight scene with Green Goblin and Spider-Man there, but we don't. Well, we do later on in the movie, of course, but yeah. So that's one of the I absolutely loved that fight scene between Spider-Man and Doctor Octopus though. That was a really great fight scene. I was so shocked after. I was like, "Oh my god, that fight scene was amazing." And yeah, I loved that fight scene. Again, I'm gonna say it again, one of the best Spider-Man fight scenes ever. Yeah. So then Peter's in the sanctum again, and then a lizard pops up behind them. But of course, Lizard's in the cage, so he can't kill him. So yeah, Lizard's just trapped in a cage. Then Doctor Octopus gets transported to a cage, and then yeah, Peter talks to Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange says people that knew Peter Parker with Spider-Man are coming to this universe from different universes, if that makes sense. Another thing I don't get though is Electro never found out Peter was Spider-Man, so I'm kind of confused why Electro gets transported to Peter's universe. So that's kind of confusing, but I guess it is. I'm glad Jamie Foxx Electro is in it, but Doctor Strange said everyone who knew Peter Parker was Spider-Man comes to this universe, and Electro never found out, and he made put him on too. So I don't know why Electro's getting transported to Tom's universe, but yeah. So he brings MJ and Ned to the sanctum. Peter does, and he wants help from him, and then Doctor Strange gives him a magical web shooter, and yeah. So what he can do with the magical web shooter is he can web the enemies and then transport them to a cage magically, and then they'll be trapped in the cage, and then yeah. So Peter swings out to the woods, and he's trying to find his next villain. There's two villains actually out there in the woods. Well, I don't know if you count Sandman as a villain, but yeah. But anyway, then he sees Electro, and he's blue at first, and then we hear his old music again, and that's so epic. I love that. And then he blasts Spider-Man with his electricity, and then he's about to fry Spider-Man again, but Sandman saves Spider-Man, and then Peter's like, "I'm not your Peter," and he's like, "What do you mean you're not my Peter?" And yeah, and yeah, so Sandman and Spider-Man actually team up against Electro, and he has yellow lightning this time instead of blue. And there's a really funny scene where he's just naked in the wood, and he's like, I said this here already, but yeah, he's like, "You guys are going to just stand here like I'm not butt-ass naked?" And then Sandman's like, "I am." And yeah, so then they of course get clothes for Electro, and then they transport him to the cage, Doctor Strange cage. And also Spider-Man webs Sandman as well to get him to the cage, and Sandman's like, "Did you just kill that guy?" Because Sandman thinks he just killed that guy, but he didn't, of course. He killed Electro. But yeah, so that means that's 4 out of 5, so they just need Green Goblin then. And the Aunt May calls Peter, saying that the guy you're looking for is at Feast. Yeah, Feast is in this movie. Well, if you don't know what Feast is, Aunt May runs it in the comic. It's basically what Aunt May does is she looks after sick people and all, and it's really nice and all. That's what Feast is. And then Norman Osborn's at feast. And I also like before Peter goes to feast, we see a little scene with Norman Osborn talking to the Goblin, because they're actually kind of two separate people. And Green Goblin's like taunting Norman, saying that you're weak and all, and like, you know, like that. And then that's when Norman breaks his old Goblin mask, so we don't see the Goblin his original costume in this movie from the Sam Raimi universe. But we see a more comic accurate outfit in this movie, which I really like more than the actual original one. But yeah, so Norman Osborn is talking to Aunt May at feast, and yeah, because he doesn't have he's not Goblin at the time. Well, I think he always was Goblin at the start of the movie, and he's just been pretending to be Norman, but he's actually just Goblin inside, which we later find out later in the movie, of course. But yeah, so Aunt May says not to web him up, just to bring him to the cage, and of course Doctor Strange webs him up. He's like, okay, that's everyone, and then he's gonna send them all to the universe now. But Peter doesn't want him to send them back all to his universes, because they'll die if they go back to their universe. And yeah, so Doctor Strange is about to send them all to their universes again, where they're all gonna die, except Sandman for some reason. And well, yeah, Sandman doesn't die in Spider-Man 3, but yeah. So yeah, so Peter doesn't want them to go home, so because he wants to try, like, you know, prevent them from dying before they go home. So he webs the box that are going to send them all home, and then he runs away with the magical box, and then Doctor Strange chases him, and then that leads to the Spider-Man versus Doctor Strange fight, and I was so excited for this fight scene. But so yeah, Doctor Strange makes him go into his, like, you know, makes him go out of his physical form, if that makes sense. Like, you know, kind of Doctor Strange makes him into the ghost thing from the Doctor Strange movie. And it's hard to explain, but yeah, he separates Peter from his body anyway. That's what I'll say. So yeah, so because Peter has spider sense, even though when he's not in his body, he's still able to make sure that Doctor Strange doesn't get the box. It's hard to explain, but Doctor Strange is just a really confusing character, to be honest. I mean, his powers are really confusing, I should say. But yeah, so Peter gets back into his body, webs away, still has the box. And then we see one of the most epic fight scenes of all time. And it's not even a villain versus a hero. It's a hero versus a hero, that's what I should say. And I love how Spider-Man literally defeats him here. And also, Spider-Man gets hit by a train. Again, he got hit by a train in the last movie. Oh my god, give Peter a break. Oh my god. And yeah, so I love how this fight ends though. Spider-Man actually defeats Doctor Strange, and he's like really shocked about it. But the only reason he stops Doctor Strange is Matt, I should say, not maths. He uses maths to defeat Doctor Strange, and yeah, I think that's really epic, because that shows how, you know, because Peter's like really in the comics is a really nerdy character, and he loves, like, you know, maths and all. He actually uses maths to defeat Doctor Strange. And then he just leaves Doctor Strange dangling in the Grand Canyon, and he stays there for 12 hours. It's really funny. And then he goes back to Ned and MJ saying, "Oh my god, guys, I was just in a fight with Doctor Strange," and he says, "And I won." And then that's when Ned gets his magical Doctor Strange thing. And then yeah, he doesn't open a portal yet, but he does later in the movie, which I'll talk about later. It's one of the best scenes. And then Peter says, "I can bring you all home, but I have to cure you all first." So then he says, "Our technology is advanced," and then this is one of the best lines in the movie. Norman Osborn says, "I can help you. I'm something of a scientist myself." Oh my god, I can't believe they made him say that. Oh my god. If you don't know if you don't know why I love that line, it's because that's what Norman Osborn says in Tobey Maguire's first Spider-Man movie, and it became iconic ever since he said that in the first movie. So yeah, he said that again, and it's really epic. So Peter brings them all to Happy's apartment thing, and to try cure them, of course. He gives the box to MJ and Ned, and he says if they push the button, if he asks them to push the button. And yeah. So Peter brings them all to Happy's apartment, tries to cure them, and he cures Doctor Octopus first. And then, yes, I can't wait to say this, but Peter's spider sense starts tingling again. He's like, "It's just the best." He literally just senses that Norman Osborn's about to do something evil. So he webs Norman, and Norman says to him, "That's a neat little trick of yours." And then yeah, we learn that the Goblin was in control all along. So the Goblin is in Norman's body right now at the moment. So yeah, we see the Green Goblin talking to Peter, saying, "You're struggling and all," and you know, everyone hates you and all, and yeah, stuff like that. And then, oh, by the way, there's also an arc reactor in this movie, and of course, the thing Iron Man used to power his suit and to keep him alive, of course. And Electro senses power from it, so Electro steals the arc reactor to get more power. And yeah, we don't see him put it on yet, but then we see Norman Osborn attacks, or should I just say Green Goblin, because he's not really Norman Osborn at the moment. So yeah, Green Goblin attacks Peter, and then well, first of all, Peter says to May, because Aunt May is in the building, he says to Aunt May, run. And yeah, Aunt May runs, and she also gets the Goblin cure, because they were literally about to get the Goblin cure done, but they couldn't because Green Goblin was doing some evil things. So yeah, this is literally, no, I'm not gonna lie, this is my favorite fight scene of all time now, in any movie, just any superhero movie of all time. We see Spider-Man versus Green Goblin, and it's so freaking epic. It's not even like use their powers or anything. I mean, like, of course they use their super strength. That's what one of Green Goblin's powers is, and one of Spider-Man's powers is. But they just have hand-to-hand combat in this fight scene. Peter uses his webs a bit, but it's mostly just hand-to-hand combat. It's so epic. It's so epic. They just keep crashing down the ground, going to different apartments and all, and they just keep beating the living crap out of each other. Peter gets the most crap beaten out of him, and because he's all bloody at the end of the fight. But yeah, so Aunt May is about to leave the building, but then Green Goblin's down at her floor, and Peter's down at her floor as well. And then we see Green Goblin's choking Peter. Then we see Aunt May sticks the cure into Goblin, but it doesn't work because it wasn't that powerful yet. And yeah, we see Aunt May has like a weapon thing, and we see Green Goblin holds Peter's head up, and a glider, oh my god, a glider hits Aunt May and stabs her. And then Green Goblin gets on his glider. Peter's doing his iconic Spider-Man stance, and he's all bloody. By the way, this is you guys just got to see this fight scene for yourself. It's so freaking epic. Oh, I love it. It's so epic. I can't believe they made an actual fight scene though. Like, how can they do that? It's just so epic. Anyway, Aunt May's on the ground, and then we see Goblin get one of his pumpkin bombs, and he throws at Aunt May. We see Peter tries to try to save Aunt May. He gets the bomb away from Aunt May. He explodes in Peter's face. Green Goblin flies away on his glider, and then Peter's all like broken up. He is so injured. He probably broke like 1,000 bones. Like, I mean, I know that's not like. I mean, like, I don't know how many. Okay, I'm not smart. Okay, about bones and all. I don't really know anything about bones. I don't know. I can't remember how many bones is in the human body, but yeah. So, yeah. So anyway, Aunt May gets up. Peter's like talking, and then we see. Okay, so Aunt May says to Peter, "With great power comes great responsibility." Oh my god! I can't believe they made Aunt May say that. Oh my god! It's usually Uncle Ben that says that, but Aunt May says it in Tom's franchise. I started crying, actually. I was like, oh my god, come on. It's such a good experience in the cinema, I just want to say that. And then we see Aunt May fall to the ground, saying, I just need to catch my breath. And I start crying even more. I mean, I was crying in happy tears when Aunt May said, with great power comes great responsibility, but I cried in sad tears with this. Aunt May dies. I'm not even kidding, boys. Aunt May dies. I can't believe they killed Aunt May off. Oh my god. It's so sad still thinking about it. Green Goblin kills Aunt May. And then Peter feels so guilty at it, and then Happy Hogan drives up to his apartment, and he's just looking at Aunt May's body, and then he says to Peter, run. And then Peter gets shot by some soldiers, and yeah. And then Peter's just so sad, he's crying and all. And this has to be one of the most emotional things ever, because we see Peter he has his mask off. He's in a Spider-Man suit, and also he has, I forgot to mention, Doctor Octopus gives him his nanotech back because he turned good, and he has like a gold Spider-Man symbol now in his suit, and he has like a brand new suit and all. So it's epic, but he doesn't have it for long, but yeah. But anyway, he looks at a TV broadcast, I guess, with Jonah Jameson saying it's Spider-Man's fault that this young lady died tonight, and it's Spider-Man's a menace, and then this is so sad because Peter just starts crying because he feels guilty over Aunt May's death, and then he knows that all of New York hates him. Like, it's so emotional. I love that Peter suffers with consequences in this movie, because usually Peter's in this franchise anyway, Peter's usually a spoiled brat that gets everything. He always got stuff from Tony Stark, and he always got he usually got stuff from Tony Stark and all. He never really suffered from consequences. But I love that he's suffering from some consequences now. That's true Spider-Man right there. And then, yeah, so he's just sad, and he just starts crying, and it looks so sad. And then, okay, this is the best scene of the movie. MJ and Ned are just looking at the TV, seeing that Aunt May died. And then, okay, I don't know what that noise is, but Ned just says, okay, I'll go to the TV. But Ned says, I wish I could see Peter, but because he has his magic ring on, from Doctor Strange, a portal starts to open. And he says, MJ says to do that again because the portal was about to open, and then he says, I wish we could see Peter, and then the portal opened, and then we see Spider-Man. We see they're saying, Peter, is that you? And then we see Spider-Man walking towards the portal. Oh my god, it's okay. I couldn't breathe. I started screaming in the cinema. Oh my god, it was we see a Spider-Man, but it's not this. It's not like, it's not the suit we were looking at through all the movie. He didn't have the gold Spider-Man symbol on. And then we see the Spider-Man take off his mask. It's Andrew Garfield, bro! It's Andrew Garfield! I still can't believe it! If you don't know who Andrew Garfield is, it's the one I was talking about in the Amazing Spider-Man. He's the one who played Spider-Man in the Amazing Spider-Man franchise from, Amazing Spider-Man 2012 and Amazing Spider-Man 2 2014. I can't believe he's in the movie. I was so skeptical going into this movie because I was like, oh, Andrew and Tobey won't be in it. And yeah, I kind of just spoiled it there. Tobey's in it as well. Oh my god, Tobey freaking Maguire! The Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire played Spider-Man back in 2002, 2004, and 2007. You guys know who I'm talking about, right? Because, I already reviewed their movies. Oh my god, it's so epic how they interact with each other. I love that Andrew and Tobey try to web each other up at first because they think they're like threats and all. And I can't believe that they're in this movie. I might have to end the clip here. I'm not going to end the video, but I need to see how long the video is at because I can't have my video in more than an hour because my video won't be able to upload. So I'm going to end the clip here for a second, boys. Yeah, this video is very long. Okay, I have to get to this quick. So we see Andrew and Tobey go to where Tom's Peter is. I'll just call them by their real names, by the way. So yeah, so Tobey and Andrew go to Tom, and they talk about how Spider-Man is and it has consequences. And Andrew talks about how he lost Gwen, and then Tobey talks about how he lost Uncle Ben, and then also Andrew lost his Uncle Ben as well. But Andrew says, I couldn't save Gwen, and it's so emotional. And then Tom's Spider-Man says, Aunt May taught me with great power, and before he finishes the line, Tobey says, with comes great responsibility, because that's what his Uncle Ben taught him, and same with Andrew as well. Well, Andrew's Uncle Ben didn't really say it, but they just made it that Uncle. It's hard to explain, but anyway. So yeah, they start because all three Spider-Mans are nerds, I guess you could say. Well, not nerds, but like they that sounds really offensive. But because they're science whizzes and all like that, and they know science stuff, they start making cures for the bad guys. And this is such a good scene. It's just Ned comes over to Tobey saying, "Did you have a best friend?" And he's like, "Yeah, he died in my arms after trying to kill me." And that's so funny. But yeah, he's referring to Harry Osborn, the new Green Goblin from Spider-Man 3, and yeah, Ned was like, "Oh." And then that's why Ned says to Tom's Peter, he says, "I'll never turn evil on you." But yeah, and then Andrew sees Tom and MJ having a love moment, and then Andrew gets sad because he misses that with Gwen and all. And then Ned says Peter, and then all three Peters go like, yeah. And then he's like, Peter Parker, and he's like, we're all Peter Parkers, Ned. And he's like, the computer, I need the computer, and then they had to give him the computer. And then Tobey shows Andrew and Tom that he has organic webs, and he's like, wait, you guys can't do that? I thought, it's like, yeah, we have web shooters, bro. We're and then yeah, they go to the Statue of Liberty for the final battle, and yeah, Tom says, "World, if you're watching, wish me luck," and bad guys come and get me. And yeah, so the three Spider-Men talk for a little while. Tom asked them, "What's the weirdest villains you guys have fought?" And Tobey mentions Venom. He says, "I fought an alien made out of black goo once." And then Tom said, "Oh yeah, I fought an alien too, on Earth and in outer space. He was purple." He's referring to Thanos. And Tobey's like, wait, you went to space? And then Sanders like, I'm lame towards you guys. The weirdest villain I fought is a Russian guy in a rhinoceros suit. I started bursting out laughing. It was so funny. And then Tobey says, "No, you're amazing. You're not lame. You're amazing." He says it 3 times actually. So people on TikTok and all stop debating that Tobey is better than Andrew, because literally the legend himself said Andrew is amazing. So yeah, then the villains start showing up, and first of all, they talk about Tobey's organic webs again. And Tom also says to Tobey, "Does it come out anywhere else?" And he's like, "No, just the wrists." And I started bursting out laughing there as well. And then, yeah, of course, elements, you get to the final battle. The villains start showing up, and, yeah, so Electro's there, Sandman's there, and Lizard's there. Goblin and Octopus aren't there either. Yeah, I mean, they're not there yet. They're not there yet, I should say. And then, yeah, they put on their masks, start battling the bad guys. We see Andrew battle Electro, and he's like, "Hey Max, I missed you," because that's Electro's like real name, Max Dillon. And there's like, I love the interactions to Andrew and Electro in this movie because they're like, they're old nemesis, I guess you can say. And then we see Toby versus the lizard, which isn't that interesting because we've never seen Toby battle the lizard before. And then we see Tom versus Sandman. So yeah, and then yeah, so they start duking it out, and they can't work as a team, so the three Spider-Man huddle up, and they're like, Andrew's like, "I never worked as a team before," and then Toby's like, "Me neither," and then Tom's like, I was in the Avengers. I don't want to brag or anything, but yeah, I was in the Avengers. And then Toby's like, "Oh my god, that's great. Yeah, well, yeah, that's great." He's like, "What is that?" And then Tom's like, "Wait, what? You guys don't have the Avengers?" He's like, and then Andrew's like, "Is that a band?" "Oh, you're a band." And then Tom's like, "Oh my god, you guys don't have Avengers." And then yeah, so Tom says we have to work as a team, and Toby says, "Yeah, we'll take them off the board, and we'll take one at a time." And then Tom's like, "Yeah." And this is the most epic scene of the movie. So they all three Spider-Man. Well, Andrew first of all says, "I love you guys," and then Toby's like, "Thank you." And then yeah, they all put on their masks, start running, and then they jump off start swinging together, and it's so epic. And then they land, and then they just look great together. They're doing an iconic Spider-Man pose together, and it looks so epic. You guys are gonna have to see it for yourself. So yeah, they jump at the villains. Tom's going for Sandman, Andrew's going for Lizard, and Toby was going for what's his name, Electro. Well, Toby actually doesn't really fight Electro that much in the movie, but anyway, so yeah, they start fighting it out again, and yeah, so they start fighting, and yeah, they work as a team. So they first of all cure Sandman, and well, Toby cures Sandman, and then Tom cures Lizard, and then Doctor Strange comes out of the portal, and because Ned portaled him here. And then yeah, Doctor Strange is like, "I've been dangling over the Grand Canyon for 12 hours. Where is he?" And he's like, he just wants to fight Peter again because he's so mad. And then yeah, and then Electro's gonna be a little harder to fight, and then so yeah, Electro's about to kill Toby and Andrew, and Tom's just like, I think Tom was fighting Lizard at the time, but then he of course finally cured Lizard. And then yeah, so then Doctor Octopus comes, and then he's like, these guys are mine. I want to kill them myself. And then I thought Doctor Octopus was back at evil first, and then he grabs Electro's arc reactor and puts the cure on Electro, and then Electro is cured, and he saves the other two Spider-Man. He saves Andrew and Toby. And then Andrew goes to Electro, and they start making up and all. They're friends now again. So yeah, Electro's like, I just wish you were me. I wish you were gonna be like, I thought you were gonna be black. That's what you said. And he's like, "Oh no, there has to be a black Spider-Man out there." And then he's also referencing Miles Morales. So yeah, so Andrew helps Electro up, and then we have then Doctor Octopus says the power of the sun, and then we see Toby saying in the palm of your hand, and then yeah, so we see Doctor Octopus and Toby interacting with each other, and I love that. He's like, "Peter, oh, you're all grown up," and he's like, "How are you?" And then Toby's like, "Trying to do better." That's what he says in Spider-Man 2, and I absolutely love that. And so then Goblin shows a bomb in Doctor Strange's magical box thing. The thing explodes, the Statue of Liberty starts falling apart. MJ falls off, and I thought she was going to die at first because Tom's about to save her. And then Goblin swoops in and stops Tom from saving her. And then this is another epic scene in the movie. We see Andrew freaking Garfield save MJ. Now, you're probably wondering why it's cool, like me, okay, otherwise it's that great. It's because that's how Andrew Garfield's, that's how Gwen Stacy dies, and Andrew couldn't save her at the time, so that's how, I just love that, like, how Andrew just saves MJ because he couldn't save Gwen Stacy. That's so sad, like, I love that so much. He's like, "Are you okay?" He's like, "Yeah, you?" Yeah. And then we see the final fight of the movie. We see Tom Spider-Man versus Green Goblin, and yeah, so they start fighting out, more hand-to-hand combat, and because Tom Spider-Man is mad about Aunt May's death, he starts really beating the crap out of Green Goblin. He wants to kill him, so he starts punching him to death, and then he's about to impale him with the glider, and then Toby stops him from killing Goblin, and then I thought Toby was gonna die here, but Goblin stabs Toby, and then they cure Goblin, and then I thought Toby was gonna die, but he's like, nah, I've been stabbed before, it's alright, fam. And then we see that more people are coming out of the portal, but then I have to do this quickly before the video ends, and I'm able to upload this. Alright, so yeah, then Peter says to Doctor Strange to make everyone forget that he's Peter Parker Spider-Man, and then that will also mean that MJ and Ned will forget, and everyone else that knew he was Spider-Man before will forget. So he goes over to Toby and Andrew saying thank you, and then they hug, which is really sweet. Then he goes over to MJ and Ned saying I love you guys, and they'll forget, and I'll come back to try to get you guys again. And then Doctor Strange makes everyone forget. Tom's Peter, everyone goes home from their different universes. Tom Spider-Man tries to reconnect with MJ and Ned, but he sees a bandage on MJ's head, so he doesn't want MJ to get in trouble ever again. And then we see he's in a crappy apartment, so Peter actually has no one left anymore. He's just in an apartment like Toby, kind of. And then we see him having a red and blue suit, and he's in a new suit now. And I really hope they introduce Mr. Dickovich into this. Anyway, I give this movie 100 out of 10. This is my favourite movie of all time now. And I have to end this video quick. If you do enjoy it, make sure to smash like button, subscribe if you new, the bell. This video I upload. And thank you guys so much. I love you guys. You don't have to do that whatsoever, by the way. So yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.